In this episode, we've learnt what indigeneity means and how Indigenous people in a part of Queensland in Australia are resurrecting their heritage. Indigeneity is highly contested and means a lot of things to many people. The main issue is who is Indigenous and what does that mean in a given context. There is a global United Nations definition that has been quite influential, or rather the interplay between global and local discourses or debates has been fruitful in terms of how people use definitions to get more say or power in their homeland. This could be in terms of using global debates on indigeneity to change legislation in their home country, or using it to engage mining companies, for example. In fact, we pick up on this issue a little later in the course. It's important to also note the diversity of definitions and ideas about being Indigenous and what that means. The former initiation site, Gummingurru, we discussed has an ongoing significance and power to Indigenous people who are trying to preserve the place as an educational site for Indigenous and non-Indigenous people to demonstrate how local Indigenous people used to initiate their children to become adults, and what role the local environment had in determining what yuri or association they would belong to. This had wide-ranging repercussions in terms of kinship ties. Indigenous people today often seek to reconnect with their homeland or maintain that connection. Thus, it's important to better understand what place, and in this case a former initiation site, means to them, what role it plays in their cosmology and worldview, and how it can be different from ours. What may look like a paddock with some rocks can hold the key to other people's identity, their sense of belonging and home. This example demonstrates the ongoing strong connections Indigenous people have with specific places and the role anthropology can play in helping to resurrect knowledge about these places even when practices have been interrupted. This interruption in this case was due to the forced removal of local Indigenous people by the Australian state and its agents, as well as the occupation of Aboriginal land by graziers, for example. Only in recent years have Aboriginal people attained legal rights to reclaim land, access rights to culturally significant sites, and other forms of what is termed native title in Australia. We will discuss more about this issue in next week's episode, when we visit David Trigger and Richard Martin in the north of Queensland, where they work with local Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. See you next week, World 101X.